Gundam.tk presents Double O Riser. Hey, what's up everybody? It is Robert 184 2Rs 2Bs as always from Gundam.tk, and I'm finally here with a look at my perfect grade 1/60th Double O Gundam. So when you do buy this, of course, you get the Double O Gundam and the O Riser, but this time I'm just going to be focusing on the Gundam itself. This kit came out in 2009 and sells for the whopping price of 25,000 Japanese yen plus tax. Now I'm sure you all know that this kit, being a perfect grade, is going to take a long time to build. But anyway, now that it's done, here's what you're going to be left with. A whole bunch of plates, and I'll show you what else. First of all, you're going to get these hologram seals that are all used up, as well as these foot parts that you basically add on to the feet to give them extra grip. The seals, you're going to have a few left over, and these are options because you'll see that there are clear parts in the head that if you choose to light the head up, you're probably not going to want to put in these seals. And of course, I hardly ever put on decals, and this is no exception. And finally, you're going to get a whole bunch of baggies that held the nuts, bolts, springs, and all the things that you need to make the GN condensers, and a lot of plates. Finally, with the lot of plates, you'll notice that almost all of them are in black, and some of those are ABS, a few white ones there, and then you're going to have the clear pink parts, the A plate, remember that had clear red, clear green, clear, and yellow, a couple plates of blue, or 3 plates of blue, 2 of red, and overall 5 of white. You also get coated silver parts for the weapons, and these green parts are actually for the GN Sword 3, which is a part of the O Riser. Now what you're going to see here is of course going to be completely unpainted, but it is lined, and I treated myself to 2 new markers for this just so that they're sharp, while keeping a few old ones on hand just for the blunt lining that goes through. When you're using these old Gundam markers, this is good for touching up the yellow and the red when they get discoloration, cutting them off the gates, and every once in a while I will use the brown to line red parts, and it's good to have these real touch markers on hand for getting rid of the discoloration on the clear parts when you cut them off. When all is put together and done, it actually doesn't look like all that many parts, but it's the intricacy of the mechanisms on the inside that really make this worth the build. So anyway, what you're going to get is a foot, a separate ankle, a leg unit, a GN condenser which plugs into the leg itself, the waist unit, you're going to have a torso. The arms and shoulders are separated, and of course you're going to get the backpack, and they have the GN drives already attached right now. In terms of the actual weapons, you're going to get the GN shield, you're going to get 2 beam sabers, and you're going to get the GN sword 2 of them, and you're also going to get these pink effect parts to make them just massive. Starting with the weapons this time, the GN shields are very large overall, with these basically just being big blue plates. And the first thing that you're going to notice is the slide mechanism. So you'll notice that you can slide this part in the back, forward and back. As well, if this is all the way up, you're able to extend the white part. But if you push this down, you'll notice that you can't extend the white part anymore. On the back of the shield, this is going to attach into the forearm to keep it on here, and it just plugs in quite solidly and stays in place really well. And if you want to attach this to the GN drives, you flip this part up at the top, and then again it's the same idea. These are going to plug in quite solidly just below the drives. And the final feature that it offers is that if you flip up this part here and do the same on the other shield, you're able to plug these in together. And when you combine that, you're going to get this massive GN shield, which you can also just plug into his forearm down here and just have him go off. So overall, I think this shield actually could use some decaling, so that's something I might consider putting on a little bit later. And the parts really do look big and bulky, but because of the slide mechanisms and the things in the back and how well everything attach on, I'm actually pretty pleased with it despite its outwardly simplistic appearance. The beam sabers are quite long and fairly detailed. Anyway, I like the shape of the blade themselves. That's pretty well put together. 4 white pieces down here. You pinch these together, put this in, and then you plug in this. And the things that this thing can do, of course, is attach into the back of the waist armor. And you're able to bring that up, separate this whole thing, and have the Double O Gundam reach back and pull these off, apparently. Now the other thing that I thought was pretty cool about them is on the bottom you'll notice that there's 2 slots here, and when you look at the manipulators there is a peg that is sort of out of the way. It's really good that it's pretty well hidden, and when you attach this And you can seal the hands up, of course. Everything is going to stay in there really well. And of course you can put either blade on either hand because it's got the two different slots. Here's a look at the GN Sword 2, but of course this is in its rifle mode. And the transformation, of course, is not complicated, and it looks pretty good overall. The silver parts, the make parts on the side, really add something to this. But why, Bandai? I had to paint these parts blue myself, despite the fact on the A-plate we already got 4 colors, which is of course pretty normal. But it would have been nice if they had given us these parts in clear blue, because of course I can see paint marks and it just doesn't match up with the overall quality on the rest of the clear colored parts that Bandai included. In terms of the mount mechanism, very similar to the beam sabers, there's these slots here, one on either side, and those plug in nicely into the palm of the manipulators. And as a nice touch, you'll notice back here that there's a part here that swivels out, and that attaches into the forearm. And what's important about that is even if you bend the wrist, you're still going to be able to move this GN rifle into the right position. To transform this is not going to be very difficult. You're able to just spin this. You don't have to actually pull it out and pop it back into place. Slide this back and down and put this down, and once you put everything back inside, you're going to have the GN Sword 2. And again, the silver parts really stand out, the only complaint being that blue paint, which of course if you're a better painter will not be a problem. For mounting this on the hand in a similar way, you're just able to attach it down on the lower slot there before putting the fingers in place. And by sliding out the same thing that we use to attach the rifle into the forearm on one of these, of course they both have it, you can actually put the two swords together to make this massively long sword here. One of the huge pluses though for me was the way that you actually attach these onto the skirts of the 00 Gundam. And what you can do is push this off on either side, so you can put it on either one, and you'll notice that by pushing this down you get this. And then what you do is you pivot this into position, and once you've done that you can take the skirt armor here and slide it open, which reveals a polycap inside. And when you attach this on, all of a sudden, with everything previously being hidden, you have the GN swords mounted on the waist skirt, and it's looking pretty sharp so far. But finally, one of the best parts of the 00 Gundam is the massive amount of effect parts they give you. And if you take these huge pink pieces, which are of course just one single part, and you slide them on down, they're actually going to connect fairly well into the blade down here. And when they do that, they lock into place, and all of a sudden you've doubled the length of the blade in effect, and you still have the very cool effect of the white parts, the silver parts, and the pink effect parts. Here's a top-down look at the weapons just to give you an idea. In comparison, there is a 144th Exia Repair 2. So there's the shield extended and not, the beam sabers, the effect parts, the GN Sword 2, and with the effect parts attached. Really gives you an idea of just how big these things really are. Well, to wrap up this part, taking a look at the weapons, so far I'm pretty pleased with them. Despite their seeming simplicity, what I do really like about them is just the fact that they have so many mechanisms built into them. So here you can attach it to the forearm, to the GN shield, you can attach them together, slide them up and down, etc. And basically you don't have to keep any of the parts separate in a Ziploc, because all of the mounting and mechanisms, etc. are built into the weapons themselves. So when you buy the high grade one, you have to swap these off to attach the swords together, but in this case you just pop the piece out. So it's things like that and the ingenious mount mechanisms and the way they fit in the manipulators have really made me pleased with the weapons. But the most important thing is not just these, but how does this guy come together and move with them as a combination. So anyway, Robert 184 2Rs 2Bs, stay tuned for my look at the perfect grade 00 Gundam. And thanks for your patience, everybody. See ya. I really can't wait to see his weapons in the movie.